Jet magazine about Phyllis Simon's ex-boyfriend. He was the last one to talk to her before she passed away, before she committed suicide. Miss Simon's ex-boyfriend told Jet magazine in his final conversation with the singer. He recalled her saying, "I'm unhappy. The only bright light is to die, so I don't have to worry about a job and other people. I have no personal life. I have no energy." Gwen, I can relate to what you're saying about it's hard to get out of bed. Because most of the people that suffer from depression, they don't have energy. They don't have that desire. They don't have that spunk to get up. And people wonder why. So I can relate to what you were saying. He went on to say, according to her ex-boyfriend, she was real happy with her decision to go. She took sleeping pills and in her life, suicide. And I guess you'll wonder where she was real happy with her decision. When you contemplate on committing suicide, you go back and forth. You know, you have a burden. And once that burden is lifted, and once you have decided that you're going to go through with it, you are at peace with yourself. You're no longer fighting, within yourself. Working in the Department of Correction and the Federal Bureau of Prisons, I witnessed some very animalistic behavior, such as walking in on a man getting raped by another man. A vicious attack by inmates, as well as a vicious attack on inmates attacking me. I got attacked several times. I seen inmate, this one particular story, I seen an inmate get stabbed at least 20 times. And there wasn't anything I could do. I was helpless. Because I didn't have the help. Even though I called for backup, the inmates were threatening to kill me as well. This bothered me witnessing another man's demise, but that didn't cause my depression. Before all these things occurred, I was gunned down in a nightclub while I was in college. Violent behavior was something I was used to seeing, and I was numb to a lot of things. As a kid, I witnessed my mother being picked up and thrown against the wall by her ex-husband. No, I wasn't raised by my mother, I was raised by my grandmother. But I saw the abuse whenever I visited my mother. Some areas of my life came straight out of hell. How do we stop and reverse this growing epidemic? By doing my studies, I discovered that most of 90% of the people who committed suicide suffer from some type of mental illness, such as depression. This is a high percent. Just imagine, if we spend more money on what causes depression, a lot of people would still be living today. I chose to seek help for myself and others after watching a television show. There was this black lady talking about her son committing suicide. But only after she read the suicide note was when she discovered her son was suffering from major depression. I saw how upset this lady was, and I felt compelled to do something to stop the effect that depression is having on our people, as well as other people. All races suffer from depression. So I called a television show seeking to contact that lady. But instead, I was asked to be a guest on her show. And this was a real challenge. I worked inside a federal correctional institution. I knew the station that the inmates were looking at, because I look at the station too. And I knew if I came up and gave my story, it was going to be aired on TV. And I knew when I came back to work, I would be ridiculed. It wasn't about Garry Jones. It was about what was inside me, compelling me to help others. So I had to overlook about how people could feel about me if I really want to try and truly help other people. Even though I'm retired, I'm still seeing a therapist. The pain is still there. But the difference is, I'm getting the help that I should have gotten when I was a teenager, which means there may be help for me, and I can have good days versus all bad days. We have to take steps to a healthier life mentally if we ever want to pursue truly dealing with this disease. This is another thing that bothers me sometimes. Most people ask me whether or not I'm a Christian. They ask to say, if you're a Christian, Christ will take the pain away. But the fact that I'm a Christian doesn't make the pain go away. And yes, I do have faith. I used to ask God to take the depression away from me. But now I ask God to give me the strength to live with the depressions and help others as I do. There's one more person I want to point out, and most of you are familiar with this particular person and some of the very things I spoke about today. Marvin Gaye. No, he didn't commit suicide. Marvin Gaye was subjected to many things that attribute to a life filled with depression and suicide attempts. Things such as death of a dear friend, financial problem, and a distant relationship with his father. Though many people love Marvin's music, little did they know of his suicide attempts. A lot of times it's never publicized. We can't continue to ignore the signs when something seems out of the ordinary. Depression is no different from any other disease. If you get help early, it can be controlled, such as asthma, diabetes, and ulcers. I don't think we was all born this way. The bottom line is that if we get help, we are going to. If we don't get help, we're going to destroy the next generation. If you think this generation is bad now, don't get help and see what it's going to be like in the future. What I mean by that statement is, you want to know why your kids are doing certain things? You want to know why all these people are being locked up and drinking and drugging and sexing and doing all these things? That's a problem. That's a very serious problem. It is a problem, but we are not taking notice of it. These people are hurt. They're crying. So what do you do when you're hurt? You try to escape the pain. You start dealing in illicit activities. You start getting promiscuous. You start doing a lot of things.
Hurt people?
Yeah, definitely hurting people, robbing people, everything. And that's what I mean by if we don't get help, we will destroy this generation. I brought a copy of my, in conclusion, as Mays and Frankie Bell would say, the people that suffer from depression like me, and some of you all may be suffering from depression in this room today, need to step up and do like Mays and Frankie Bell would say, it's time for us to get some of that happy feeling back into our lives.